All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the stream. Sorry, I jumped on a little late. There's always some technical difficulties every time I jump on this stream. I learn something new every day with getting on this stream and setting it up right. But I'm just going to check and make sure I'm live because yesterday, I don't know if you guys were on, but I wasn't live. I was live for about 33 seconds and then everything stopped working. So we're going to go ahead and check if we're live on our handy dandy additional device here. 1 second. Perfect. So now I'll be able to see the live on YouTube and we'll see if something messes up there. I'm just going to keep that off to the side here. All right. Welcome to the stream. It is a Sunday morning, 7 a.m. We like to do this every morning from 7 to 8 a.m. And the goal of this stream is to do a few things. We're trying to take people from lonely to connected and unburden our stress to unburden. So lonely to connected, we do that by answering a few community questions, communication questions. Call into the show. You can text me at 512-591-6138 with your name, city, and topic to join the call queue. If you call in, I will call you on the stream live, and then I'll put the phone right here. You'll be talking to the mic. I'll be listening, and then we'll go back and forth with your community question or your communication question. And I'm turning my phone off of Do Not Disturb right now. It was actually never on Do Not Disturb, or last night it wasn't. Usually it is. So that is that. You can also call in if you have a dog poop horror story or a favorite dog story that you want to talk about. Now, generally how this goes is I am going to talk about community, read a funny dog story or a touching, heartwarming dog story, and then I'll talk about communication because that's what this is built about. We're trying to build community and we're trying to help dog parents be less stressed by serving them with our poop scooping services, with our discount club, and of course, we have a dog parent community here in Austin. And so that's how the stream goes. If you guys want to call in, give recommendations or anything like that, I'm always open to them because mostly right now the stream is just me and I'm always looking for stuff that makes it more engaging, right? So right now, just so we kind of get through all that we have, I'm going to start with the community segment of it all, and then eventually we'll go into Reddit. Let me pause here because I took some notes before the stream, and this is what's going to help me, keep it tight for you guys, hopefully, but maybe not. Let's see. Streaming. I also have horrible allergies. I didn't take my allergy medicine this morning, so bear with me on this stream, but we'll try and get through it. So, I talk a lot about community, and it might be tough. It might be really tough, but stick with me. I talk a lot about community. I'm pretty big on community. And one of the things I say is it would be nice to, I know this sounds crazy, but have like the compound vibe, the neighborhood vibe. Not a compound. It's not weird. It's not like a fence or a cult or anything. It's just like I live close to all of my good friends and all of my good loved ones that want to be around me and want to do life together. And that's something that's really exciting to me. I think it's necessary to community. I think people need to be proximate. And the question is, hey, Timmy, when I'm living so close to my loved ones, won't it cause more drama than community? And I think this is a great point because that's what people think of when they think of hanging out with their family or hanging out with their friends. It's typically drama. And this is where I say you need to go to work on those relationships. There are 3 things that I think of when I'm considering the benefits of living close to people. And the first one is spontaneous hangouts. So the first of the 3 things that I think of as benefits when living close to people is spontaneous hangouts. I like to be able to pop up. We're going to have dinner. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to walk our dogs together. We're going to play some Frisbee. All of that stuff is really fun to me. And that can't happen if the person is a 30-minute drive away. The second thing I like is morning hangouts. I like to do a morning lift with people, a morning walk, a morning dog walk, a morning swim for people who can swim. I can't, so that is what that is. But without living close to each other, you can't have spontaneous hangouts and you can't have morning hangouts, which means you can't clock as much time together, which leads me to the third thing. When you live close to each other, a benefit is the fact that you will just have a closer relationship by proxy of spending more time together. And that's a big deal. Like, sheer quantity of time when hanging out with somebody goes a long way. And that's why you see married couples like morphing into each other as they are married longer and longer, right? Like, they start to look like each other. They start to have the same tendencies. They have the same laugh. They laugh at the same things. All of their jokes are inside jokes because their whole life is an inside joke because they live their whole life together, right? And that's a cool, very beautiful thing. And I think the same thing can happen in community when we start to choose to live close to each other, which has some trade-offs, has some sacrifices, right? Back to that drama piece, when you choose to live close to somebody, it will cause drama because humans cause drama. That's it. If you want to have relationships in life, there's going to be drama. And the question is the trade-off worth it? Are these people worth the additional drama that will be in my life for how full my life will feel? So I don't know. That's just something to think about. And I forgot to hit record, but now I am recording. So I missed that little segment in terms of shorts, but hopefully we can grab that from the YouTube live later. But yeah, I think that's it's something to think about. It's something intense. Because yes, your loved ones will cause drama, and that's friends, that's family, that's kind of whoever you want to be hanging out with. But that drama's worth it. And I think I can kind of speak to this a little bit. In college, we had, one second. Sorry, man, allergy medicine at night and every morning. With all the poop scooping that I do, it really takes it out. Like, I'll be fine during the week, and then I go out, I do a poop scoop or walk and go put out some door hangers, some sticky notes on doors, sneezing up a storm for 2 days. And my throat's always itchy, and there's not much I can do. So there's that, right? Yeah. Anyway, a little story about community and living close. I went to Davidson College. Great college, I think. I'm not a big fan of college, actually, but Davidson is a good college and beautiful campus. Here's the thing about Davidson. It's a residential campus. There's about 2,000 students in the whole college. It's a small liberal arts college, and so a lot of people are taking the same classes because you often have to go cross-department for your first 2 years, or you're taking some more general classes for those first 2 years. And it was probably the best community I experienced in my entire life. Like, I kid you not, the like eating together, hanging out together, leading together, like everything I talk about when I talk about community came from that 4 years in college. And one of the difficult things was people were like, hey, when you're an adult, like, community is not going to be the same. Like, there's other stuff going on, people have their priorities, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, that's true. I just don't think it has to be. I think the trade-offs are just harder because when you think about it, we all lived very close at Davidson. Like, I could walk to people's places because we all lived on campus, and campus was small because there was only 2,000 people. Not only that, but we did the same things during the day. We were leading Young Life, and we were going to class together, and we were eating together, and we were hanging out in the same common spaces. Like, all this stuff we were doing, and it was like, what do we not do together was the question. Like, there were people I'd work out with them too, you know? Some people would do work study together. Some, like, it was just so much. There was people I was spending easy 50 hours a week with. I guess anywhere from 30 to 50 hours a week. And it was cool because there were people in the group that I wasn't even super close with in terms of talking or hanging out, but I loved them so much. Like, so much. And all that was because we just clocked so many hours together, and we knew what we were about together. It was just a really cool time. And I'm not saying it was all rainbows. There was a lot of drama, which is kind of why I brought this up. And most of that drama got, we like worked through it. And as I'm recounting this, you notice I didn't start with the drama because nobody really cares about the drama. What I care about is the depth of relationship that I built there, and all I'm asking is like, how can I get back to hanging out with those people as soon as possible, doing life with those people as soon as possible, being on mission with those people as soon as possible. And so a lot of the fast stuff community I talk about, living close, having a mission. Gracie told me I have to stop scratching my ear on stream, which maybe I do, but that is what that is. But living on mission together, like, it just, man, it hits. It hits. And for the longest point, up until that community in college, I truly felt alone in life. And I struggled to have relationships because everybody seemed so fake. And I don't know, man, the world just seemed transactional. I'm like, in a transactional world, why would I give somebody my feelings to transact on, right? Tough. But that's the first time I let people kind of see the real me, because they made me feel safe enough, which I know kind of sounds strange, right? Like, I'm not the type of guy you would think talks like this, but I also realized you only think that when you're like in high school, because everybody's human and all humans kind of want the same thing, to love and to be loved. So anyway, it was the first time I showed kind of my true, authentic, and ugly self to people. Like, I was an angry kid, and they chose to love me, and that was a really big deal. I think there was, in part, we were on mission together. We lived close together. We spent a lot of time together. We went to college together. Like, so much of our life looked the same. So much of it was intertwined. There was a bit of a forcing function when there was drama to push through it, because the cost of not pushing through the drama meant your whole life had to change, because your whole life was intertwined in this community. So there was a bit of a forcing function with like, hey, let's grow together emotionally. Like, let's put our differences aside. Let's choose to love one another because it's worth it, And I think that's a really cool thing we've lost out on, if I'm being honest. Like, back in the day, the tribe was the tribe. And one of the biggest punishments was getting excommunicated from the tribe, or just getting kicked out. Like, you just had to be in isolation, because we're such social beings. Now our tribe is more like our immediate family. And for some people, that's not even their tribe. Like, we just have so many modern conveniences today that you don't necessarily need other humans physically, for like our physical problems, but we still need them for our emotional problems. And back in the day, the physical and the emotional were intertwined. And now we're just trying to figure out, how can we feel the emotional without intertwining the physical? And it's like, I don't know how well you can separate them and stay consistent with it. So that's my little tidbit on community. I always talk about proximity, and people are like, won't living near my loved ones really screw things up because of all the drama that it will cause? And I say, people are dramatic, which means if you're trying to be in community at all, it will be dramatic. But there are 3 things I get from it that make the drama worth it. And the first thing is the spontaneous hangouts. The second thing is the morning hangouts. And the third thing is the closer relationship that comes as a result of the hanging out. When you spend a lot of time in the morning together and spend a lot of time in the evening spontaneously together because you live close, the relationship naturally gets better over time through sheer quantity and eventually quality of time spent together. And that's something you just can't get from seeing each other once or twice a week for 2 hours over the course of 5 years. It's a different level of relational depth that I think would touch a lot of us in the spots where we feel lonely. Like, that loneliness might go away. So that's what I think about community. I think that's a cool thing. And give me 1 second, because my allergies are acting up. We're live. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry. There's not much I can do about it, but it is what it is. Okay, so now we are going to read a dog poop horror story. I was on Reddit. I just recently got on Reddit, and I asked the question. I feel like I'm Steve Harvey right now. I asked the question. Here we go. 1 second. So a day ago, I was like, what's your funniest dog poop story? And I have read some of them on the stream. Actually, there's another one I have to read, because we also posted a reel on our Instagram, Golden Leash Club 1, and somebody responded. And this is funny. It's Frankie Ann Von Waffles. So Frankie and Von Waffles. I'm going to try to clip this and tag you in it. So we'll see if I do that successfully. But it's a little call in. It's a little call in from Frankie and Von Waffles. It's just a dog Instagram account for, I think, somebody. It doesn't matter where they are. But I think it's a funny thing that has an image afterwards that I will try and show you guys in the camera here. So I'm going to restart it. I'm going to turn it up, put it towards the mic.
This is Luana here at Pet Paradise. Just calling in. I just have a quick question about Frankie. We just went number 2, and I just want to make sure, like, if we don't get any treats at home, that's kind of like a dye red. Because whenever she does go number 2, it is like just straight up red. So I just wanted to see if like her food had any like red dye or anything like that. Please give me a call back at press option 4. Thank you and have a good one.
Yep, as you can see, there's a red muffin there. So Lawanda from Pet Paradise called Frankie's pet owner and was like, "Hey, when we go number 2, the poop is red. Like, what's going on with that? Why is the poop red? I want to make sure we don't have any food with like red dye in it, because when she goes, it is straight up red." And then cut to a picture of Frankie standing in front of Frankie the Bulldog, I'm pretty sure, standing in front of a red cupcake with a bunch of red dye as their birthday treat. So, Frankie got some red dye, some red 40, red 40 in their food, and that came out of their poop. And the pet trainers or the Pet Paradise people were concerned. But don't worry, Frankie's in good health. Their owner loves them very much. I just thought that was funny. Yeah. I thought that was funny. So shout out Frankie and Von Waffles. You can go follow them at Frankie and Von Waffles on Instagram. We'll try to tag them in this clip of, the call in showing Frankie with the red cupcake. But I don't know. I thought it was funny because, yeah, there was genuine concern, but, Frankie's all right. And it is what it is. I thought it was a good one. So thank you. Thank you, Frankie and Von Waffles. And you got to tell us a story behind that name. Let me know. Cool. So I was on Reddit. I'll read a few more of these. What's your funniest dog poop story or any hilarious dog story? And I do this just because, again, we do a few things. We have a dog parent community here in Austin. We have a poop scooping business here in Austin, and the community and the communication questions are meant to help you connect better in our dog parent community. So maybe I need to do a better job of making that super specific to dog parents, but I'm a big community guy in general, and I think the principles apply. So that's what the goal of the community and communication questions are. And then we serve people, and lonely to connected with the dog parent community, stressed to unburdened with these comical dog poop horror stories, but also our poop scooping service that takes that chore off of your mind. That's what we're trying to do. That's why we hop on the stream every day to serve the Austin area. And hopefully, if it gets big enough, we can serve people outside of the Austin area. But I read these dog poop stories to both give you a good laugh at 7 in the morning when you're walking your pet, and remind you that we can take care of that dog poop for you if you need it. First one's always free. So let's go ahead and read this. Let's see. Okay. Here's some ones I didn't read yesterday. A lot of these are like replies to people's stories, so I'm trying to like sift through them right here live on stream. So, semi_charmed_ one day ago, I walked outside one day to see my 2 boxers watching a piece of poop with a lot of excitement. Okay, let's see what this is about. I was confused as to why they were excited about this turd. Upon further inspection, they were watching a dung beetle pushing the turd. My girls are sweethearts, but not the brightest. I like that, actually. That's pretty funny. Just the simplicity of, I don't know, just life. Like, they're out here just watching a dung beetle push some dung, and ain't nothing wrong with that, We were walking around the lake the other day, yesterday actually, me and my wife, because we like to take walks. I used to not be a walk dude, actually, but now I am, so shout out Gracie. But yeah, we saw this kid just kind of sitting in their stroller, being pushed by their parent. And of course, we want 6 kids at some point. Not really. I want 6. She wants 4. We'll probably have 2 to 4. That's still plenty of kids. But saw this kid being pushed in the stroller, and it was so funny because that kid was just doing nothing. Like, I can't remember. I don't do a lot of nothing. I don't think a lot of people nowadays do a lot of nothing, but this kid was just doing nothing. They were being pushed by their parent, just looking at people because the world was so new to them. They were a young kid, maybe 1 or 2, like they were definitely very, very young. And they were looking at the world, and it was new, and it was exciting, and it was stimulating. And that's very similar to watching a dung beetle push a turd when you're a dog. It's like, that is just interesting. It's something you haven't seen before. I wouldn't want to see that, but the 2 boxers do want to see it. Just looking at turds being pushed, looking at the dung, push the dung. So I thought that was a cool fact about life. You got to remember the simple things, if you will. All right, let's see if we can read another one. Boliana, 1 day ago. We had a pug/chihuahua mix who destroyed toys. We tried to snag them away as soon as she tore them up, but apparently she ate a little. She pooped, and there was an eyeball poking out the end of it. Oh my gosh, there was an eyeball poking out the end of the poop. That would be creepy if you weren't an adult. Like if you were 5 and you saw that, you'd be like, my dog, what did you do? So she ran away from it when she looked back, because I guess the dog was scared too. And she also made what we called poop hinge. We have cement curbing in our backyard, and she did the walking poops on it and made 5 to 6 little turds of various sizes that all stood up on their ends, some leaning in different angles, some straight up and down. 'Twas impressive because the curbing isn't in a straight line. It's kind of S-shaped. So here we go. Works of art, eyeballs sticking out of poop, and yeah, little dog Picasso here making not Stonehenge, but poop hinge. Funny stuff. Love it. Thanks for sharing, Boliana. Thanks for sharing semi_charmed_. Yeah, we'll upvote you guys. You've been shouted out on the stream. So yeah, thanks for sharing. And we're gonna hop back to it now. 1 second. My allergies are messing me up. I know. That's gross. I'm sorry. You get to be here with me live, so I can't edit that stuff out as much as I would like to. But here we go. Okay, so we did our community segment. We did a dog poop kind of horror story, or just a funny story, if you will. Now we're going to hop back into it with a communication segment. Just, yeah, asking open-ended questions. I think it's a big deal when it comes to communication. And there's a few rules that I want to go through for asking open-ended questions. But first, it's like, why is it relevant? And so I talk about community a lot, as you know, from being on this stream. And when we're talking about community, we're talking about kind of gathering, purpose, time spent together, sacrifice together, growth together, all this stuff. But none of that can happen well if you don't know how to communicate. And so communication is often needed at every stage of community, and specifically to get started in community, like in that small talk section, the first kind of community stage for everybody, you need to know how to ask open-ended questions. And so it's like, yo, Timmy, what you talking about? This is really for the dog parent who's like feeling alone. They want to figure out how to go to more community events, and they want to figure out how to, just be more social. So this specifically, this is for the dog parent who's feeling alone, wants to go to events to have good conversations. We want to talk about asking open-ended questions right now. So the first thing to do when you're asking an open-ended question is start with something like what, how, or tell me about. Like, we're trying to get them to speak words and many words. So we need to start with the question with a word that's like, what do you do in the morning for breakfast? As opposed to like, do you eat eggs or bacon in the morning? What do you do? Gets them into their routine. Do you eat eggs or bacon? 1 word response. Not the best example, but an example. So when you're lonely, or This is for dog parents who are lonely, trying to go to events to have more small talk, have more conversations. The first thing you want to do is ask open-ended questions. And the 3 ways to do that: start with what, start with how, start with tell me about. After you ask that open-ended question, the second way to keep the conversation going is to really look for the emotion and identify it. Like when they're talking about it, be like, it seems like you feel this because this. And then they'll be like, yeah, you understood. Or no, let me tweak that a bit. And then as you're doing that, you can mirror the last 5 words between the trying to label their emotion, right? So you label their emotion. It seems like you feel this because this. They'd be like, no, actually this, this, and this. And you're like, this, this, and this, to mirror them. And so I know that was a bit confusing, but if you just repeat the last 3 to 5 words that they say, that's mirroring. If you try to label their emotion, that shows you understand. And if you always start with a what, a how, or a tell me about, it leads to them telling a story, not just kind of 1 or 2 word responses. And that's how I think you can go about asking open-ended questions to get connected when you're going to these events as a dog parent. And really it applies to everybody, guys. We're not just talking about dog parents here, but anybody who's lonely across the board, whether you're 15 and you're a sophomore in high school and you're listening to this and you're like, hey, when I go to chess club, I'm lonely. Like nobody really wants to talk to me. Why is that? And sometimes kids just suck. That everybody's going through some stuff, and kids have the least experience. And by kids, I mean other 15-year-olds have the least experience kind of coping with that emotion and acting kind despite it. So, maybe you catch somebody on a rough day, but in general, being able to ask open-ended questions about stuff people want to talk about, that'll serve you well, whether you're 15, whether you're 85, and you're trying to, I don't know, find spring breakers in Florida. Or I know that was wild. I don't know why I said that. 85 and trying to connect with other 85-year-olds. How about that? Or 60 and trying to connect with your grandkids, or 42 and trying to connect with your teenager, or 28 and trying to connect with other kind of young adults or young families, and connection across the board, like asking open-ended questions specifically about what people care about. It'll do you pretty good. Like you'll do better rather than worse, I would think. And so, yeah, those are 3 things. We want to start with a what, how, or tell me about. I'm doing it again. Gracie's going to get on me. We want to listen for emotion and mirror it back. And then we want to mirror the last few words. So start with a what, how, label, and mirror. That's what we're trying to do, to ask open-ended questions. And yeah, I think this really just helps you to connect. Like, I don't know if you guys have read How to Win Friends and Influence People, but when I think about communication, and anytime I talk about communication, I'm probably either talking about that book or Influence by Robert Cialdini. So if you don't want to listen to me, you want to get all my communication knowledge, which probably isn't that extensive because I'm only 26, but I think I have helped some people out in communication, because when you're giving people advice, it's very easy to give them the right answer because you're removed from the situation. But then when you're in a situation, it's very difficult to give yourself the right answer because there's so much emotion with it. However, I really try very hard to do the right thing in terms of communication, and I reflect when I do things poorly so that I can get better, because I need to be a better communicator for what I'm trying to do long term. So yeah, not only do I have a bit more thinking about it than other people, but I think I just have less ego around it. Like what happened in the communication is not as important as what happened as a result of the communication. So like if I deserved to be angry, and this is what I learned in college when I was angry. I was angry because I was Black in America and I'm supposed to be a victim and yada, yada, yada. But really, it just kept me so angry I couldn't do anything productive. How does that work? I don't know. You got be critical on yourself about that if that's something you're struggling with, because I'm not saying racism isn't real, but I'm saying it's not super helpful to be so angry about it. All you do is hurt others' feelings. So when that was me, I kind of forgot where I was going with this. Dang it. I hate when that happens. Regardless, I try hard to communicate well. And when I was super angry, I didn't do a great job of that. And the lacking ego around it. There was a man who told me, great dude. If he's watching this, he'll know exactly that it was him because he was there too. But basically, he looked at me and he said, my sister died. Because I was basically talking about my trauma and how my trauma like makes me different and how I should be able to treat people different because I feel different because different stuff has happened. And he was a Christian. I'm a Christian. So he talked to me from a Christian lens and he was like, you may have had stuff happen to you that has not happened to me, but I've had stuff happen to me that has not happened to you. And while we can't connect on the experience itself, we can connect on the emotion of the experience. My sister died when I was 8. I was a very sad, angry, distraught kid too. I could have treated people poorly because of that, or I could have treated people properly. And he was like, my sister dying, a lot of people haven't experienced that, but that doesn't give me the right to be a douchebag to them. I was like, dang, I've never had my sister die. That's worse than anything I've experienced, all the microaggressions I've experienced. And he is coming through it a lot more mature and able to communicate to me in my selfishness, despite that. And he's connecting with me on that emotion because he remembers what it's like to feel how I feel. I'm like, how cool would it be if I could do that for people too? And so now when there's communication, even if people are being stupid, calling people stupid isn't helpful. Criticizing people that's like rule number 1 in how to win friends and influence people. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. And that was a moment where this dude who really helped me out, he did not like criticize me, condemn me, or complain about me. He connected with me. I think it takes being able to put your emotion or what you think is reasonable aside, put your ego aside for the sake of connection. And that's the power of an open-ended question, even when you feel like it might be stupid. Connection. Yeah, we got to clip that. I thought it was cool. It was meaningful to me. So hopefully that helps you guys out as well. But that's our first communication segment. We're going to read another dog poop story. So let's see if we ran out of some on Reddit. Okay. This is going to be amazing. Buggy Seance. Thanks for leaving this. Sorry, guys. That's gross. I know. I hate it too. Buggy Seance. On my Reddit post. What's your funniest dog poop story? Any hilarious dog story? And again, we ask these because we do a couple things for dog parents here in the Austin area. We have a community where we're trying to host regular events, and that's to take people from lonely to connected. And we have 2 services, our poop scooping and our discount club, which we have to build out our community before the discount club is actually viable. But those 2 are meant to take you from stress to unburdened by decreasing the cost or the time spent kind of dealing around the logistics with your dog, right? And so I like to read these stories as like a funny thing to take you from stress to unburdened, because a good laugh at 7:30 when you're walking your dog might help you out a bit. But also, dog poop sucks. And if this reminds you how much dog poop sucks and gets you to hire me to do a free scoop for you, yes, hire me to do a free scoop, which means I'll literally come do the first one for free and you can never talk to me again. And that's okay. Actually, a lot of people have done that, which does it hurt my feelings? Yes. But is it worth it? Because I get to see somebody's yard get cleaned up and then be immensely grateful. Absolutely, it's worth it. So that's why I read these, just to laugh, remind you that dog poop sucks, and remind you that I can clean it up for you. So here we go. In Austin area only. Buggy Seance. This is their story. My Aussie is what we like to call a poop performance artist. He loves to poop as soon as he knows a neighbor or stranger is watching. So that's funny. But keep reading, because I kept reading. Now you get to keep reading. And maintains direct eye contact for the duration. Talk about a taboo. He has pressed his butt against trees and the poop has stuck, almost like he is icing a cake. The most impressive by far, though, one of our neighbors had removed part of their fencing and had a bit of barbed wire bundled by the road for trash pickup. Is anybody else worried about where this might be going? Because your boy is. Here we go. My talented boy straddled the edge of the wiring. He was on leash, so we made sure he wasn't getting into it, possibly to injure himself. Okay, good dog owner. Good on you, Buggy Seance. And perfectly balanced a poop on a barb. A true artist of his trade. I love it. So I went from worried about where it was going to pleasant relief that he straddled it. He laid the poop on there. As a true artist of his trade, Buggy Seance. Truer words have never been spoken. And thank you for making sure he was on leash so he didn't injure himself. But that is hilarious. I think he did earn the title of Poop Performance Artist, both doing the taboo of pooping. Yes, this is ridiculous. 26-year-old man on stream talking about dogs pooping. A funny story about that later. But doing the taboo of looking somebody in the eye while pooping the whole time, that in and of itself is poop performance artist, but really nailed it with dropping the poop right on the barbed wire. Like that's huge. I'm like, he's one step away from getting paid as an artist, you know? So anyway, funny story, funny dog poop story. We'll kind of leave it there. We'll come back and read one more before stream's over. But Buggy Seance, thanks for sharing. I will upvote you on the Reddit page. Appreciate it. So the funny story, actually, about dog poop that I wanted to mention. I don't know if any of you guys have played Codenames. I paused to wait for a response, and I'm sure at some point there'll be people here like responding in chat, but right now there aren't. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if you guys have played the game Codenames, but it's a fun game. I think it's pretty chill. I like it for like big group games. And here's the thing about Codenames. When you're the codemaster, you're trying to connect seemingly unconnected words, and it was the end of a game, and I was the codemaster, and my team had 2 words, and I think it was like England and child maybe, and I don't know a lot about England. I don't know a ton about children. So it was kind of difficult for me to connect these, and I forget what the assassin was, but basically if you guide your team to one word, it will like in the game. Like they'll lose, the other team will win if they click that word. So you have to give clues hinting at your words while not hinting at the opponent's words or any of the dead words or the assassin. So that's just some complexity of the game. And I had England and child, and the clue I thought of, given all of my young wisdom, was tooting. But the funny part about this clue, which this was borderline cheating. I don't know if I recommend this, but I had to say it with an English accent because I was like, the word in it of itself is kind of Englandy, but I don't think they're going to get there if I don't say it with an English accent. So I paused, I laughed a little bit, and I went, tooting. And that was my clue. I did it exactly like that. I said, tooting. That's my best English accent. Sorry about it. And then everybody started dying laughing. They were like, what is going on? I don't think my team eventually got the clue, but afterward they were like, that was really funny. I'm glad you did that. Codenames is pretty casual. You're not out there. It's not cutthroat competition. You're just chilling, if you will. Right. So that was my Codenames. When I thought of 26-year-old man talking about pooping, I thought of that 24-year-old man giving a clue as tooting. So anyway, that was my funny story. Maybe I got a bigger laugh out of it than you guys did, but it is what it is. So let's see. We are going to talk about community again. And if you guys want to call in, I don't know if anybody's really watching. I get some views on Facebook. I get a few views on Twitch and maybe a few on YouTube every now and then. So a little small right now, but if you guys want to call in, literally text that number with your name, city, and topic. We'll give you a call in and we can discuss community, we can discuss communication, or we can just hear your favorite dog stories, either a dog poop horror story or a funny dog story that you've experienced with your pup. So since I've gotten no texts, we will continue with talking about community. So we've talked about community in our first segment. just living close to each other, some of the perks of that, and how, yes, there may be drama, but is that trade-off worth it? And the answer is yes, I think so, because you get some spontaneous hangouts, some morning hangouts, and some closer relationships, and that's a big deal. Then we talked about communication, asking open-ended questions, and like when you're a dog parent trying to go to events because you're lonely and you want more walking buddies, asking open-ended questions is a great way to connect and leads to a natural, hey, let me get your number, we should follow up about that, or we should go to that, or we should do this, or we should do that, because you've learned something about them and now you can connect with them. Now we're going to talk about community again. Shocker, because this whole stream is about community. But a big part of community, in addition to being proximate, is being accountable. And when you're trying to be accountable, you're not only trying to be accountable for something, but it's for something to somebody, right? And I know that doesn't make a ton of sense, but just think about a sports team. Like, you're accountable for your performance to the team. Like, you're not really talking to your cousin, Bobby, about your performance on the football team, because Bobby don't care. He's not on the football team. It doesn't affect his life. So whatever you are accountable for needs to affect the lives of other people, and those are the people you're accountable to. That makes a lot of sense, right? And it'll make sense with the story that I actually bring up. But a lot of people hate this word, accountability, and many people have experienced accountability in various ways. And a question that is super easy to get, especially when you're an adult and you kind of spent your childhood trying to get away from accountability, right? Like, you didn't like your parents disciplining you. You didn't like the school system or maybe the police disciplining you. And so you were like, this accountability thing sucks. I'm going to go live my own life on my own terms, right? That can get really lonely really quickly. And you might enjoy it, for a little bit, but ultimately it can get pretty lonely. And when you tell people, hey, come join community, but with that community becomes accountability, the first question they ask is, accountability? Won't an accountability buddy be annoying? Won't that be a hassle? Won't that be troublesome? Won't that make me hate the community? Yes. The answer to all of that is yes. Just like community has drama, accountability is annoying. It makes you not like the person, but it also gets you to where you're going. So let me tell you a quick story. When I was younger, I was playing football. When I was younger, I was playing football, and I was also in the IB program. For you, those of you who don't know the IB program, it's pretty much like the AP program, just an advanced kind of academic thing that you're doing. And so my classes were a bit harder. I had a bit more homework, and I just took it a bit more seriously because I was kind of a perfectionist, because I was insecure. Shout out Gary Vee for saying all perfectionism is insecurity. Didn't know that then. I know that now. Thank you. So anyway, I stayed up till 2 a.m. doing homework from like IB world history or whatever. I don't remember what class it was. Isn't that stupid that we stay up till 2 a.m. doing work for a class we don't remember? I don't even remember what we were learning, but I stayed up late. I did it. I got it done. I texted my coach, accountability. He was my accountability buddy then. Texted my coach at 2 a.m. I said, hey, coach, I had to do homework late tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wake up to get to practice tomorrow. Can you call me to make sure that I get to practice on time? I'll leave my ringer on. That's what I texted him. And he was like, yeah, I can call you. And I went to sleep. He called me in the morning. I woke up. I got to practice on time. We were like watching film or whatever. I struggled throughout that day, but it was a key moment because of a few factors. One, I was accountable for my academic performance to my parents, to myself, to my team, right? Like, if I failed, I couldn't play football. If I failed, I felt like I was failing my parents and myself, because I was tracking academic success with monetary success later in life, which now I know it's irrelevant. But that's what I was doing in my 16-year-old head. So I was accountable for my academic results to my parents and to my team. So I stayed up till 2 a.m. And then I was accountable for showing up to practice to my team and to my parents as well, because I tracked that to as many possibilities as possible and eventually, success financially for my family. So both things I was accountable for performance to somebody, and that led to me staying up till 2 a.m., texting an accountability partner, and showing up for practice, doing the things I know I need to do to perform at that moment in life even when I didn't want to, even when I wanted to sleep. Like I could have slept in, skipped practice, skipped first period, gone to class at 10. But that action repeated over time wouldn't have led to me being 11th in class, wouldn't have led to me going to play college football, like wouldn't have led to anything. And so similarly, I feel accountable for this stream, for the performance of this stream in my business to people in poverty right now, because I want to help people in poverty. And ultimately, the way I can get there is by getting out of poverty myself. I'm not poor, but like I don't have the financial freedom and security to spend all of my time helping people right now. I want to get there so I can help people. So I'm accountable for the performance of my business and the stream to get to the point where I can help people. So for performance to people in poverty, to people I want to help. Similarly, for performance to my team. And accountability is just that you owe it to somebody. You owe it to somebody you care about. And if it's not somebody, have that somebody be you. Like, owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself and be accountable for performance that impacts your life to yourself. Because ultimately, other people are a proxy, but you're going to be with you your whole life. So it's easy for us to not shame ourselves. It's easy for us to live in our filth, and a lot of people don't want to. And so being accountable to somebody else is super helpful. But if you're the person who has done this long enough to raise your kind of view of yourself or your standard of yourself, eventually you start to adopt the standards of the people you're hanging around, right? So if I go from somebody who thinks it's okay to work out once a week and be 20 pounds overweight to hanging around with a bunch of fitness models, eventually I'm going to adopt a new standard for myself so that even when they're gone, after a year of seeing them work out 6 times a week and track their macros and all that stuff, I'm going to adopt a new standard. Maybe now I'm like, listen, you can't go you got to at least do 3 times a week. Like these people are doing 6, they're tracking their macros and they have abs. You can go 3 times a week, not be overweight and have like 16% body fat. Like you can get there, you know, because your community and your exposure to community will help you, you know, adopt new standards, if you will. And so that's the power of accountability. First, you're accountable for performance to somebody else to establish your standards. And then you're accountable for performance to yourself to continue those standards. And if you want to raise your standard, make sure you become accountable for performance to somebody else who has a higher standard. That's why a lot of married men make more money than single men. It's like they're accountable for their financial performance to their spouse. And when they have kids, they make even more money because they're accountable for their financial performance to their family, their wife, their kids, their spouse, their kids. I think that's just a big deal because, okay, tangent, I'll go on a little bit. This is only for Christians, really. I'm a Christian. If you're listening and you're a Christian, if you're listening and you've been hurt by Christianity, listen to this. I feel like the church does a bad job of being accountable. And maybe it's just me doing a bad job and the part of the church that I'm in. Or it's maybe just me. But I feel like I've done a bad job of being accountable for sharing the gospel to people who are lost and to people in the church. Both giving people in the church bigger inspiration and giving people who are lost a chance to know Jesus. Like, I feel like we do a bad job being accountable for that performance because, like, what activities are we actually doing to get out there? I think most people can't really say. And then if we can say, it's like priority 3, 4, or 5. That's something Gracie has called me out on a ton. It's like priority 3, 4, or 5 for you right now to actually evangelize. Granted, you have big plans to maybe evangelize in the future, but right now your plans are very focused on you. And so how can we bridge that gap and bring the plans into the now? So anyway, a small tangent, but yeah, I want to talk about community, the importance of community, and accountability in community, because you're accountable to or for results to somebody else. And eventually over time, you become accountable for results to yourself. And if you ever want to raise that standard, become accountable for results to somebody else who has higher standards. I think that's a pretty big deal. that is what we got for community in this segment. And now we're going to go ahead and jump to Reddit for another dog poop story or two. Here we go. Also, no call-ins. So if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, make sure to go ahead and call in. Stream's still live. I just checked the phone off to the side. I should have done that sooner. I think there's something I can check in the bottom here, too, that, helps me out a little bit. But yeah, stream is live. Here we go. Cam BioKeys. Reddit. Remember, we asked this question. We asked the question. Steve Harvey. All right, clearly I'm not good at impersonations. Family Feud. Love it. We asked the question, what's your favorite dog poop story or just funny dog story in general on Reddit? Cambio Keys responded with this. And remember, we do this because we do a couple things kind of across the Austin area. We have an Austin dog parent community where we're trying to take people from lonely to connected. So a lot of people have trouble finding dog parents to hang out with, dogs to socialize with, people to walk with, talk with, go to events with. And so we're trying to bridge that gap by creating the best community in Austin, Texas for dog parents, taking them from lonely to connected. And lonely, it doesn't have to be like you have a miserable social life. It has to be like, hey, it's Tuesday night. I wish I had somebody to walk with and I don't. So we're trying to fix that, Then we're also trying to take people from stressed to unburdened. And really that happens through our poop scooping, doing a chore for you that might be a burden, might cause tension in your relationship, or might cause you to think slightly lower of yourself because you wait to do it like 4 or 5, 6 weeks. We'll come do the first one for free. And we also want a discount club as our community grows that helps you save a bit of money on all the stuff you have to buy for your dog anyway. Oh, hold on. Aaron Flo on Facebook. Aaron, bro, what's up? Flo, dude. I'm so sorry. I'm just seeing this. I'm really bad at making sure I see the chat. So, Aaron, I'm shouting you out now. 38 minutes later. But you said that's what it's like being in the military. You spend days, months, even years with the same people, and you develop a bond unlike anything else. You go through similar experiences, embrace the same pains and struggles, and it brings you close to people whom you may have never had in your so-called circle in your normal life. You get a whole new understanding of what community is. Yeah, Aaron, dude, I completely agree. And I think, the military does it well. I think sports teams do it well. I think I had it really good in college in a super cool way. And man, this is just what I'm trying to challenge adults to do. Like, so many people are lonely or experiencing mental health issues just because they're not in community. They're not being social like we need to be. And man, I just think it's a huge deal. So sorry I got to this late. I wish I would have seen it earlier. I got to make sure I keep the chat going and it's like showing me real time. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I think it's also interesting to note the bond comes from going through similar experiences. Same pain, same struggles brings you close to the people whom you've never had in your so-called circle in your normal life. I think a lot of community is struggling forward together. So thank you for sharing that. I know it's 40 minutes late, but shout out. I'll message you after this. And thank you for sharing. I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. So anyway, we do this lonely to connected, stress to unburdened. Lonely to connected is our dog parent community, just to help you out with a little bit of the loneliness. Like, again, it's nothing crazy. You just want some people to hang out with. And then stressed, maybe you're stressed about the money that it takes to, if you have 3 dogs, you can spend a pretty penny on it. 2, 1, you can also spend a pretty penny. But just boarding, food, like pet sitting, having somebody come walk your dog for you, poop scooping. We try not to make it too expensive, but if you don't want to do the chore, it does cost some money to get us to do it. First one's free though. First one's always free. And we won't gripe at you if you just want to take the free one because we like getting to know people in the Austin area. So That's why we're doing this, just to get a good laugh, to also help you go from stress to unburdened, because a good laugh can do that on your morning walk 4 minutes before the stream ends here on a Sunday morning. Hopefully before you go to church. I'll be going to church after this, even though I don't really like going to church that much, but I love the body of Christ. I still like church. I feel like we could do it better. Anyway, so we're gonna share this dog poop story. We're gonna laugh a little bit, and if you want a free poop scoop, let me know. So Cambio Keys on Reddit, because I asked, "What's your funniest dog poop story?" Here we go. I have a winter birthday. My first birthday with my dog. It had snowed quite heavily. You got to come to Texas. It's already tough. Already tough. So I took her out, and it's tough because the snow sucks. And if you're in Texas, you know the snow sucks. But it is what it is. I'll restart. I have a winter birthday. My first birthday with my dog. It had snowed quite heavily. Tough. I took her out to do her business, and it wasn't until after she was done that I realized I didn't have a bag. How many of you have been there? I've been there. I don't even have a dog right now. I just do poop scooping business, but usually I have my bags when I go poop scoop. But sometimes I'll walk my in-laws' dogs or just other people's dogs, and it's like, oh, I ain't got a bag. What am I going to do with this poop? Now I got to go back 10 minutes, get a bag, come back here 10 minutes, dog gets an extra 20 minutes walk, pick up this poop, and then go back 10 minutes. So I guess 30 minutes walk. Dang. Didn't realize that, but I've been there. So, Cambio Keys. I took her out to do her business, and it wasn't until after she was done that I realized I didn't have a bag. This happened in the driveway of a church near me. Dun, dun, dun. Honestly, not that dramatic yet. Just got more dramatic. Sorry, I stopped reading too early. It was one of the only places that was plowed. Gets even worse. Some woman that seemed unhappy I was there with my dog was watching me closely. Lots of snow in one of the only places that was plowed. It's a church. I don't know if this person goes to church. Maybe they don't know the people at the church there, and maybe the people at the church specifically plowed it so that people could have a nice, welcoming experience coming into the church. And now there's a bunch of dog poop there. Let's keep reading. So I smushed the snow around the poop and carried the snowball home. You know what though? That's honestly epic. That is a good solution to a I think that's just a good solution to the issue, I guess we could call it. But that was smart. I applaud that. Cambio Keys, shout out to you. How big is your dog? How big was that snowball? You need to let us know. So I'll upvote it. I'm going to reply. What a smart solution. How big is your dog? And how big was that snowball? Now, I'll leave that laughing emoji. Cool. So that's what we got for you guys today. If you have any dog poop horror stories, or you have a favorite dog story and you want to share, you can always DM me and I'll share it on the stream just like I did earlier. In fact, we're going to share that one more time. Nah, we are going to share it one more time. Just to say we really appreciate it when we get videos. So Frankie and Von Waffles, you're getting another shout out on the stream, part 2. Yeah, we just want to say thank you for sending in a poop story. And anybody else who wants to send in a poop story, you can get featured on the stream just like this. So Frankie and Von Waffles, you can shout them out. I'm shouting them out here on stream. They're on Instagram. It's a dog Instagram. And here's a poop story. They tagged me in it. So I'm just going to play the video on pretty loud volume and then show you the graphic at the end. Here we go.
Hi, this is Luana here at Pet Paradise. Just calling in. I just have a quick question about Frankie. We just went number 2, and I just want to make sure, like, if we don't get any treats at home, that's kind of like a dye red. Because whenever she does go number 2, it is like just straight up red. So I just wanted to see if like her food had any like red dye or anything like that. Please give me a call back at the first option.
Wait for it.
Thank you, and have a good one.
Look at that. Look at that. That's Frankie. Oh, and that's the cupcake with red dye. So Frankie had a great birthday, had some great red dye on that cupcake, and yeah, the lovely person at Pet Paradise noticed that the poop was red because of it. That's a great poop story. Freaking out the Pet Paradise workers with some harmless red poop. Nothing wrong there. Aaron, I'm gonna hit you up right after this on Facebook and say thank you for participating in the stream. And yeah, I realize that community can be that way. Awesome. Thanks for joining the stream, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. On the weekends from 7 to 8 a.m., it's just me. Theo's not there. We're not really trading. I get that sometimes my stream freezes when I'm trading. I need a better computer. I'll work on that. But in the meantime, yeah, see you guys tomorrow, 7 a.m. I'll be here. We'll talk a little bit about community. We'll talk a little bit about community, talk a little bit about dog poop stories, and we'll stream a little bit more, trade a little bit more. Hopefully we take a trade and make $400. That'd be cool. Awesome. See you guys on the next one.